What's up, guys? Everyone's having a wonderful day. So in today's video, I'm going to be comparing the PlayerMaker to the StatSports vest right here that I have. And both of these devices track how much distance you cover within a session or a game. So I'm going to see these both give me the same result, or if one gives me more than the other. I'm going to be telling you guys, what the difference between the PlayerMaker is and the StatSports. So if you're somebody who's on the edge of oh, should I invest in a PlayerMaker or should I invest in the StatSports? Both of them are awesome tools to track your performance. And yeah, hopefully you guys enjoy the video, and I'll see you guys in a little bit. Guys, so I currently have the StatSports vest on, and I also have the PlayerMaker. So keep in mind that the sensor is right outside on the boot, so this might bother some people, but for the most part it really doesn't bother me. What's nice about the StatSports is that you can wear this during a soccer game. I don't know if you can wear this during a soccer game. I haven't heard anybody tell me, maybe the ref, there might be some picky refs. They might be like, hey, what's that on your boot? You're gonna have to take that off. But with the team training, I think that should be fine. What's great about the StatSports app is that you can track a live session. So I'm gonna go into the app right now, and you have to wait till the StatSports beeps, and that's when it lets you know that it is connected and ready. And so when you go into the StatSports, it's called the Apex Athlete Series. That's what the StatSports app's called. So you're gonna go to the home page, and then you can start a live workout, which means that you can kind of track your current speed, current distance. So if there's a goal you have in mind and you want to make sure that you hit it, you can go to this part, start the session, and then right away you can track exactly your current speed, your max speed, the duration, total distance. And if you have a heart rate, you can connect that as well to keep track of your heart rate, which is pretty beneficial if you know how to use it. So I'm gonna leave this on, and I'm gonna get some touches on the ball. I'm gonna get a warm-up in, and I'm just gonna do a very short session, and then I'm gonna see you guys back at home, where I'm gonna show you guys all the data, all the stuff that it provides, and then I'm gonna give you guys some pros and cons so you guys can decide which one is best for you. .62 miles an hour, which isn't bad. I think the fastest I ran was almost 22. So I might try to do one more, see if I can hit 20. But I don't know if I'm gonna hit it. My legs are a bit sore. We'll try one more. All right, guys. So didn't hit 20 miles an hour. I hit 19.8. A bit disappointed, but hey, if I can run at this speed when I'm this sore, then I definitely think on a fresh day, I think I could hit around 21. if you're a soccer player, make sure you implement sprint training at least twice a week. Be smart about it and don't do too much sprints, just enough to stimulate your body, and it's gonna help you get faster. What's up, guys? So I just checked the StatSports app and I'm currently 3 miles in. I'm pretty curious about what it's gonna be on the PlayerMaker, so I'm gonna have to find out once I get home and I sync the little sensors to the app. So hopefully it's pretty accurate. Hopefully they're about the same. Then I'll have a good idea that, you know, these are both good. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna finish off the session doing a little bit of suicides, nothing too crazy. I'm not gonna go all out. I'm just gonna do maybe like 60-70%, and just to get a little bit more volume in under my legs. But yeah, feeling pretty good. Legs a bit heavy, but nothing too crazy. So I'll see you guys in a little bit. Woo! Great session. Legs are tired, so look how easy. And I'm taking off the PlayerMaker just like that. Nice and easy. It's actually way easier to take them off than to put them on, to be honest, but you get used to it. After that, you pop out the sensors, pop, super easy. Put it back in here, pop out the right one, boom, just like that, done. Go home, open up the app, sync the data, just like that. Same thing with the StatSports. Take off the sports bra. So since I did a live session with the StatSports, all I have to do is pause it and it'll sync immediately. Whereas like you can also, if you don't want to do a live session, just make sure you turn it on, and then when you get home and open up the app, the session will pop up and then it'll sync. It'll be the same thing. So the reason why there's a live session option is because if you're a strength and conditioning coach, you can see what's happening at that moment, making sure that you want certain players to be at a certain speed, or if you're tracking like top speed, if you're doing like testing, you can see what their top speed is, and the strength and conditioning coach can have access to that and be able to view it and see how much distance they're covering. And let's say they have the iPad open and they have a list of all the, you know, everybody's live session going on at the moment. They can see like, okay, this player needs to only cover 5 miles today and not exceed that or go under that. So then they could be like, hey, you know, Johnny, you're done for today. You hit 5 miles, go in the locker room, do some recovery, hit the bike, etc. So that's why, you know, as a strength and conditioning coach, the StatSports is super useful. So gonna sync this real quick, and then I'll see you guys back at home. What's up, guys? So we are back home. Now we're gonna be syncing the PlayerMaker data that we got. So one of the things that I noticed, that when it's ready to sync, there's gonna be like 2 flashing lights right here. And one of the things that you really need to make sure before you use these is when you take them out, make sure that it's flashing blue lights. That means that it's ready to start your session. Those are one of the things that I messed up when I first started to do this. But we're going to go into the City Play app right here. And right there, where we see the session. So we're going to put in all our information. So we're going to name this Friday session. This was a technical session. I wish there was an option to kind of do both technical and without the ball. That would be a nice little feature to put in there. Boom. So it's all synced up. So it's saying that the highlights. So what's great about this, it tells me how many touches I got, total distance, sprint distance, acceleration, deceleration, my kicking power. It also tells me my top speed, and then it also has an agility tab. So let me take you through. So 84-minute duration, pretty accurate technical training. I love how it just tells me how many touches I get. I just feel like that's a feature I really enjoy. Total distance is 3.1. So comparing that to the StatSports, let's check that one out today. So the total distance I covered that the StatSports said was 3.3. So what's great is that they're both similar, which is good, because if one was telling me I ran 4 or 5, then we would have an issue there. But they're pretty close to each other. So let's compare also the top speed. So we're going to go back to the PlayerMaker app. And so top speed, so the PlayerMaker says I ran 18.4 miles an hour, and it says I ran 9 sprints. Let's go to the top speed of the StatSports. So StatSports says I ran a top speed of 19.8, and it says the number of sprints I did about 13.4, which is my sprint entry speed was 7. And I think one of the positives about the PlayerMaker is that it's a little bit easier to understand. Whereas I feel like with the StatSports, it can definitely look a bit intimidating. It looks a bit confusing at times. It has a lot of information that could be very beneficial to people who are really into the sports science of this stuff, which is why I feel like there's so many strength and conditioning coaches that use this for these professional teams, because there's so much data that you can pick from this to really program a soccer player's workout routine and to make sure that they're progressing in the right area. Let's talk about the pros of PlayerMaker. Number 1, you don't have to wash a vest after you're done using it. It comes in a nice little bag. I love that. What's great about it is that it keeps track of how many touches you take, which is huge. I mean, I think for a young footballer, that is something very beneficial. So this is a feature that's not offered for StatSports, which I feel like is a huge pro for PlayerMaker, and it makes it a huge advantage. So if you're somebody that wants to know how many touches you're taking, but it also includes total distance, sprint distance, acceleration, deceleration, kicking power. Why do I like the StatSports, and why do I think it's a good option? Number 1, it has a really good reputation. It's been around a lot longer than PlayerMaker has. One of the cool things about this is that you can kind of compare your score to some of the best pros in the world. We got Phil Foden, we got Harry Kane, Raheem Sterling, we got Alex Morgan, and many more players that you can compare your stats to theirs, which I feel like is super awesome. You have something to strive for or aim for each session, and it gives you your own pro score, which I feel like it's a nice little awesome thing. You get achievements when you hit certain metrics, and I think that's just really nice. And you also have a community, so if you're somebody that wants to compete against other people who had the StatSports as well, you can compete against other people, try to get yourself on the leaderboard. I'm ranked 678 on max speed. But obviously, some of these are impossible to hit. Someone hit almost 25 miles an hour. That's crazy. And so I literally think someone got in their car and drove with this on. Yeah, I think it might be a little bit more accurate than the PlayerMaker in terms of distance and in terms of top speed. So I think the StatSports is more accurate when it's calculating top speed and distance. This is something you can wear under your shirt during practice, and that might be a huge pro, because one of the things with the PlayerMaker is that when you're wearing that band around your foot, for some people it might bother them because the sensor is on the outside of your boot. For some people, that might be something that they don't like, and it might affect them. It might affect their touch. I tried juggling with the outside of the foot. The ball does bounce off it a little bit different. That's because the sensor's popping out. Pretty much the only downside I could see of the PlayerMaker in terms of like wearing it. Yeah, like I said, with the StatSports, you're gonna have to wash it. You gotta maintain a good hygiene. You do not want to just leave that in your soccer bag because it's gonna smell awful. I think those are the biggest things. So if you're somebody who wants an all-in-one type of product, I think PlayerMaker might be the choice for you. If you're looking for something that you can wear, maybe a little bit more accurate, wear during the games, StatSports might be the better option. The only downside is that you can't keep track of how many touches you get, shooting power, which I feel like for some people might be, they really want that information. So if you only care about how much distance you're covering, you want a heat map of how much distance, how many sprints, and you want more of a community base where you can kind of compare your results and be able to compare your results to a pro, StatSports will be a good option for you. And one other thing is that with the build quality, that's one of the first things I noticed, is that I feel like the PlayerMaker, for some people, they might notice this, is that it feels kind of cheap. Like the case feels kind of cheap, and whereas the StatSports feels like it's a little bit more robust, a little bit higher quality, and I don't think that's a deal breaker. And another thing is that pairing this was a bit hard at first, but once I got it and once I understood how to properly use it, I didn't have that issue. But the first couple of sessions, I was struggling on how to set this up. So you really need to watch a video, make sure you read through all the instructions, because I thought I could just go to the field, put these in, but no, like there's a lot more that goes into it. And one thing to keep in mind is that this does not come pre-charged. So when you first purchase this, when you want to use it, I know a lot of people, when they get something new, charge it right away, because it is not going to come pre-charged. And if you're excited, you open it at the field, you're like, I'm ready, just know it's not going to work because it's not going to come charged. The StatSports, same thing. Once you get out the box, charge it, make sure it's ready to go. Read the instructions on how to use it, how to pair it. Sometimes it could be a little iffy, the GPS. When you're putting the information, it kind of gives you a GPS satellite image of where you train the field, and you have to, rotate it and then, put all this information. And at times that could be a little tedious, but it's not anything that's gonna, kill you. It might be a little tedious for some. And I think that gives it gives the reading the data a little bit more accuracy. So that's another thing. Other than that, that's pretty much, I feel like I've touched on all the topics. So one more small recap. PlayerMaker outside feels a little cheap. Goes on your boot, keeps track of how many touches, total distance, sprint speed, shooting power. The Apex series doesn't offer, that information about how many touches you get. It does tell you top speed, how many sprints. You can compare yourself to pros that used this before. Has a community that you can compare your results as well. And I think a lot more people have the StatSports, but I do feel like PlayerMaker is making a name for themselves. I've had the StatSports a lot longer, and I've used it for my own personal games, training. I feel like a real pro, when you put on the StatSports, because every time you see that player celebrating, they take their shirt off, and you're like, why they're wearing a sports bra, It's really cool. And I learned a lot of information, how to use this to maximize my performance, how to manage the amount of volume doing during trainings and games, and trying to aim for a certain distance and top speed and try to build up to that. Any of these will work. At the end of the day, it's personal preference. If you don't like anything on your feet, choose the StatSports. If you don't care and you want to keep track of how many touches you get, and it tells you how many touches you get with your left and your right foot, shooting power, and it tells you the distance and top speed, get this. So I'll leave both products linked down below if you want to check them out. Hopefully this video was helpful to anyone who's deciding on what to get, invest to improve their performance. Hope everyone has a wonderful day. Thank you guys for watching. Hopefully I wasn't yapping too much, but I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.